Insert power pose here since I'm talking about confidence. Have the ladies in the room heard of this? Stand like this to emote confidence. Well, I'm here to talk to you about confidence, but I want to talk first about where it all began, where it came from. When I was younger, my mom was working, and so she dropped me off with my nanny, who I love. Her name's Lovey. I would get dropped off. I was probably 2, 3, around that range. And when I would come to her house and my parents would leave and I was one of the only children there, she'd stand me in front of the mirror and she would go, "Who's that pretty girl? Who's that pretty girl? Spin around, spin around." Now, when you're a kid, you're thinking it's a game, right? And whatever adults say, you believe, at least in the younger years. And so I believed her. And it was her words that stuck with me when kids would bully me in school, when they would say things like I was fat. I remember one guy, I think I was in 5th grade, he turns to me and he says, "You're a stupid mug." And I say, "Obviously, you don't know what that looks like." When kids would tease me about my religion, because I was very religious as a young child, I mean, very religious for a child, right? And I even remember carrying a Bible to classes. And I would get teased about this because it's a little girl, I was short, with a roller book bag, carrying a Bible, walking with my head in the air. And kids would have things to say, and I would just look back and say, "Obviously, you don't want to go to heaven." I know now that was wrong. Don't judge me, I was young. But I had to do what it took. I learned at a young age, you have to fight for your confidence because there will be people around you that are intent on bringing you down. Even when all you did was carry a Bible with a roller book bag. I mean, what's the harm in that? Now, going through college, going through school, I learned the difficulties that I would face. In fact, in high school, although I did speech and debate and I loved that, I wasn't an exceptional student. I would come home and talk to my parents, and they'd look at my grades and they'd say, "Ashley, you're a smart girl, what's going on?" And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with the teachers. It's just, they don't seem to understand my brand of studying. I do what I can, I show up, I try my best. And my parents never said, "You're not good at school." They always said, "You haven't figured it out yet, but you can be anything." They affirmed me. Studies show if you want to raise confident kids, something I interviewed my parents about on my podcast, you are to affirm them so much until they take your affirmation and convert it into the power to affirm themselves. That's how you raise confident kids. So in college, when I was struggling academically, I never gave in to the fear that I just wasn't good enough. I kept trying. And even though I had this confidence, I couldn't overcome the burdens of academic success. It was still hard for me to perform well. So I graduated from the University of Illinois, and I saw that some students from this very high school went to that university, so go Illini if any are in the room. But it was tough. I sometimes joke and say that I came out of college through the back door. Grabbed my degree and right out the back, in case they would have regretted giving it to me. I didn't want them to think twice. Don't think too hard, give me the paper. And after graduating from college, I still went on to work, did the corporate thing, but I wanted to go to law school. My dream was always to become an attorney. And so I applied. And the first year I applied, I got into a total of 0 law schools. I remember sitting in my cubicle with the last letter that I was waiting on to see whether or not I'd gotten into any schools that year. The letter was small, so in my heart I knew I didn't get in. I think kids now have it better. They can kind of go on a computer and check, but you pretty much knew when you got that small envelope, it wasn't gonna happen that year. So I open the letter and I read the first 5 words. "We regret to inform you," and I start to cry. And it was in that moment that I had to figure out whether I was going to say I didn't get into law school, period, or whether I was going to say I didn't get into law school, comma, yet. It was at that moment that I determined I was going to utilize the power of yet to get myself through the rejections that I would face in life. Because at that point, I had to go against all the facts and stand on what I felt about myself and my faith. I didn't have any other option. So I tried to figure out, well, what can I do in this moment? Because I can't go back and change my undergraduate grades, not legally, and I didn't have time for those problems. So what did I have control over? And I decided I was going to amp up my MBA. Anyone in here have an MBA? Okay, a few. Well, at the end of this, we'll all know how to amp up our MBA. Because I'm not talking about a degree that'll get you in some debt. Hopefully, the gentleman who raised his hand doesn't have debt. I won't wish that on my worst enemy. But we're going to talk about an MBA. And so I determined I was going to take control of my MBA. My mind. The thoughts that I have about myself. I'm a firm believer that the stories we tell ourselves about our past, our future, and our present truly do define our lives. There was a study done by some Stanford researchers that actually found that when looking at the MRIs of students aged 7 to 10 when doing math problems, those students who reported that they liked math actually had more brain activity in their hippocampus while performing the problems. Those students who said they did not like math actually had less brain activity. What does that tell us? When we don't have the right mindset about something, we don't even try. Who in here would sign up to run a race they knew they couldn't finish? We learned earlier there are people that do that, right? I actually like to think I don't run marathons because I'm not a runner, but I learned today that there is a 0.5K marathon that has my name all over it. There's even a virtual option, am I right? I'm all about it. I can't wait to go home and sign up. But for the most part, we don't sign up for things we know we can't win. What are the areas in your life that you've put on the back burner because you didn't think you could win at it? Anyone ever not go for a promotion because they didn't think they would get it? Research actually shows that men don't only need 60% of the qualifications for a promotion before applying, but women need 100% of the qualifications before even applying. So when we talk about the currency of confidence, it's not just because confidence is something that you think about and some people have and some people don't. There is actually a dollar amount to it. Anyone want more currency? Okay, look under your seats. See, you all don't believe in me. No one looks. I wish I could do the Oprah thing, maybe someday. But not only do you need the right mindset, and I want to be clear here, mindset doesn't necessarily get you more confidence. It is the constant and deliberate controlling of your thoughts, so much so that those thoughts convert into belief. That's the B of the MBA, beliefs. When you believe something, not only do you think about it, but you act upon it. There was a study done by the Institute for the Study of Labor that actually found that when you are an adolescent and have more confidence, you are more likely to make more money into adulthood. Let me tell you a story. Now, you all know I struggled in undergrad, went out the back door. We're all friends now, so we know that. After I got out the back door, I applied to law school. The first time, I didn't get in anywhere. The second time, I decided to take control over my thoughts and control what I believed about myself. I ended up taking a job down the street from one of the law schools I wanted to apply to. And every single month, I went into the admissions office and spoke with the director of admissions. And every single month, I asked her when they were gonna let me in. I was like, by the way, Melissa, I changed jobs, so I'm really close now, just a couple of blocks away. And I'm gonna come in every single month so you can get to know me as your future alum. I can get to know you as my future dean of admissions. It'll be a great relationship. I kept doing that, and eventually they let me in. Now, the law school I got into was not a highly ranked law school, and for law school rankings, lawyers are kind of, well, I won't say that. But I've been told we could be a little elitist, and the profession is no different. So when your law school isn't highly ranked, typically the ranking of your law school determines your salary. It's something that I write about in my book, The Law School Hustle. But what I'll say is this. Eventually, I got into that law school, and I had never seen my actual name on a report card with all A's. I'd never seen it. So in order for me to believe it, I would write on a sheet of paper, and my husband can attest to this. I would write all of my classes down with A's next to them so that I could begin to visually see myself as a straight A student. Now, students, if you're trying this at home, I didn't submit it anywhere, okay? Personal use only. And it helped me to begin to see myself as a straight A student, and I began to believe that I could do it. And it was with that belief that I began to act. That's the A of the MBA. Taking deliberate action actually tells people the world, and it shows you what you believe in. All of us could say we believe in peace, but if you were the first one to punch someone if they stepped on your toe, I just wouldn't believe it. All of us can say that we believe in hard work, but if you never show up to work on time, your boss won't believe it, and then you'll be going out some back doors too. So it's not just about what we think or what we believe, but it's our actions that get us to using the currency of confidence. It's important to note, too, that the thing that typically separates those who do from those who don't do is the actual gravity of your ideas. Who has any big ideas in here? Don't be shy. Use a little confidence. Get those hands in the air. So all of us have some way that we want to make the world better, something we want to do to inspire others, something we want to do for our own personal families that could potentially change the world. But sometimes the weight of that idea can be stifling. It could actually stop us from moving forward. There was a study that came out of Stanford that showed if you reward activity versus outcome, you're more prone to enjoy your work. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs as an attorney, and in talking to them, they're always full of big ideas and ambitions. But I tell them to set two goals. Set your revenue goals, but also set your activity goals. Set activity goals because then, even if you don't meet your big goal or your revenue goal, you're rewarding activity along the way. That's how we're going to get to utilizing the currency of confidence. Now, after getting into my first law school, things went better there. I studied. I made that paper sheet a realization so I could turn in an actual transcript with all A's on it. I received all A's at my first law school that wasn't ranked very highly, but I had my heart set on going to Northwestern, which is where I inevitably graduated from law school as a transfer student. After getting to Northwestern, though, I faced a different type of challenge. Then I had to figure out what I was going to do with my career, my legal career. I'd left my career in sales to go back to law school. And at Northwestern, I worked very, very, very hard, and I was interviewing with a particular law firm that told me, I don't know if we can hire you because your first law school wasn't very highly regarded, so we need to see if you can cut it at a school at Northwestern where everyone is smart. Now, how rude is that, right? Everyone's smart at any law school, to be honest. I mean, in my opinion, right? But that's what I was told. Then I was told, studies show that of all the law students that go to law school, only 15% will ever work at a large law firm. Studies also show that at the large law firms, less than 5% of all individuals are Black women. So the chances are, even if you graduate and do well at Northwestern, you just won't be able to cut it. So I had to go back to my nanny who told me at 4 years old, "You're such a pretty girl." And I kept that in my mind. And even though all the facts said it wasn't going to work out, I went to Northwestern, graduated with a 3.8, inevitably went to work at Kirkwood and Ellis, one of the top law firms in the country. And while there, I was the only Black woman in the general litigation group in Chicago. But I didn't allow those facts to stop me. In fact, I had a great time there. I got to do a jury trial in front of my parents. And there was a moment when I did this jury trial that confidence really became the thing, because juries are interesting, right? All jurors have seen like Law and Order. So no matter what your case is about, they're expecting some action, okay? So I know for a fact that Olivia Pope, Kerry Washington isn't actually a lawyer, but I was determined to give Olivia Pope in that courtroom, okay? And that's exactly what I was able to do, and it was a joyous occasion and a great experience, but I was missing something. And what I was missing wasn't necessarily fulfillment. I was making close to $300K and I was maybe 26, so it wasn't the money. But I was missing impact. And I was tired of hiding the best parts of myself to fit into a mold that really couldn't accommodate me. And in fact, all the things that make me awesome as an entrepreneur, my sass, my personality, my comedy, were the very things that I had to hide to be successful in corporate. So I ended up going to another law firm. The money was still good, but I left. I left it all to be a full-time entrepreneur. I walked out, and I left the salary. So the only currency that was coming in our household for the next few months was the currency of confidence, okay? And I had to use that to inevitably build a practice that's on its way to being very successful in its first year. But I'll leave you with this. I don't know what it is that you're thinking about right now when I say, think of the one thing you want to do to change this world, the one thing you want to do to make yourself happy, the one thing you would do if fear were not an option, the one thing you could do to make the world a better place. And when you think about all the things you don't have or all the reasons you can't do it, if you were to use not the currency in your pocket, but the currency of confidence to take that first step, you could do it. If you controlled your thoughts, and if everything you told yourself about yourself and your environment was positive, if everything you told yourself about your beliefs were cemented, be as confident in your dreams as you are of your first name. If I were to ask you your name, you wouldn't hesitate. You would say it. So when you think about what you want to do to change the world, use that level of confidence to that. And don't just stop at getting your mind right and believing strong, but act. Take action. And by doing all of that, you'll be able to use the currency of confidence. And I'll promise you this, you'll never be broke a day in your life. All right.